Events of the past 3 weeks have been dramatic and mind-blowing. We have clearly accelerated into new terrain globally and personally. This is primarily due to the advance of Uranus, planet of the future, moving into Aries, planet of beginnings, last month, setting off the world axis of prominent global events. There does not seem to be any area of the world that is not undergoing explosions and birthing pains. Not only is the Middle East experiencing radical shifts in power, but the sleeping democratic process in the States is being loudly awakened. While we were dozing, sleights of hand with power and money were taking place behind the scenes. As Michael Moore pointed out, America is not broke. Someone just took all the money off the table. As personal resources tighten, we are beginning to notice that we have been hoodwinked into submission by our personal addictions, dramas, and illusions, courtesy of Uranus in Pisces and Neptune in Aquarius, and have finally awakened with a throbbing hangover. And most of us know that you don't mess with anyone when they're suffering a nasty headache unless you want to incur a wrathful tongue lashing at the very least and a pummeling at worst. With Mercury retrograding on March 30th and continuing reverse motion through April 23rd, we can backtrack over some of the surprising news that came our way these last few event-filled weeks. Mercury in Aries does not have much restraint, so fresh ideas, unexpected messages, strong willful plays for independence were fired at or by us once spring began. And while the frequent occurrences of Mercury retrograde are generally an annoyance and nothing more, in this volatile time, every word, tweet, iReport, and blog has the possibility of setting fire to the structures of our lives. Certainly we have noticed how profoundly the recent revolutions were sparked by communication on social networks and through phone technology, even when the internet was shut down in various regions. Technology has changed the rules of the game. However, we must step up to the plate and use this technology with more integrity and awareness. We now have so many outlets for content and devices for communication, yet sadly, very little of it is real, original, or substantive. Most tweets or Facebook entries are gossip, or reposts, or marketing pitches. Television experts don't have a full grasp of their own knowledge bases and are basically skittering across the surface of their subject matter. Even intellectuals are limited to their particular boxed-in reality, which doesn't allow for new growth, but rather a regurgitation of past fixed concepts. A larger cycle which amplifies the importance of communication involves the recent shifting of the karmic and dharmic nodal axis from Cancer Capricorn to Gemini Sag. The nodes reveal the next leg of the journey in our ongoing cycles of evolution, with the north node showing the way of the future and the south node being a point of release. In this case, Sag is where the growth experiences will occur. Gemini is concerned with everyday life, sibling dynamics, practical information, studying, short-term thinking, and local travel. Sagittarius represents the more global perspective, teaching, international relations, and overarching truth. There is a restlessness to both, but the Gemini restlessness is one of ADD, while the Sag experience is one of soul-searching. At some point, both archetypes need to be comfortable with reality as it is, with process being okay as opposed to needing an end goal. This despite the fact that Sag is depicted with the one-pointed arrow. The one truth that Sag needs to find is that all is good and all is God, and that all experiences can still come to one in the stillness of being connected to Source. So in this time of Mercury retrograde, it might be useful to contemplate some questions. What words do we say to ourselves? Which are true? Which are potent? Which are enervating? And just because our mind tells us something, should we really listen? Do our thoughts support us or cripple us? What type of language do we use? Do we realize that words and concepts are relative? How do we know that when I say red, I am seeing the same shade as you? What stories do we tell about ourselves? Even in delineating the details of one's biography, there is an element of fiction to it all because it is not the truth of our being. These questions do not require immediate answers. In fact, we will be unraveling, dealing with, and working through our assumptions over the next year and a half. A good rule of thumb, however, is if you learned it in childhood, Gemini, it's probably reached its expiration date. If it involves the words mommy or daddy, time to chuck it in the dustbin. It's not worth recycling. It doesn't fit you any longer, no matter how much you try to squeeze into it. You look or rather sound silly. If you are still holding on to childish notions, they will be removed or proven to be inadequate to the complexity of the current times. Superficial, half-baked, dilettanteous e-news stories, supermarket tabloids, gossip columns are the domain of Gemini, as is advertising and marketing. Double talk or lies are the lower domain of Gemini as well. The con artist is usually the first one to say, "Trust me." That speaks volumes. Gemini is also about the sin of omission, the not-so-secret weapon of advertising. Farm-grown in this age of agribusiness unfortunately doesn't mean healthy or organic. Natural, when used to describe food, is a word that has totally been bastardized to the point of absurdity or danger. Cyanide is natural, and so is mold. Do you agree with your own labeling? Gemini is the label, Sag is the all-inclusive paradox. Yes, you can appear ditzy but be accomplished. Yes, you can be highly successful and yet have self-worth issues. The truth includes all discrepancies. Hence, the invitation right now, with Mercury retrograde and the nodes positioned in Gemini and Sag, is to discern what is truth and what is fiction. In the unified vision of the world, all facts are fiction because they limit the experience. Something can be factual and not be true. Likewise, the truth cannot always be backed up by so-called facts. Facts can be dissected, compartmentalized, manipulated. The truth just is, and is experiential and comprehensive. Truth is natural law, and once again, despite a religious overlay over natural impulses and movement, it exists no matter the prevailing philosophical trends of the day. An obvious example in this regard was the medieval belief that the earth was flat, common knowledge in those times, which was later proven false. The truth encompasses the cause, the effect, and the potential involved in all actions or realities. It includes the disease and the cure. It is the fullness of the experience rather than a portion of it. Sagittarius, in its higher form, is the acceptance of paradox. Actually, at the point of integration and alignment, there really is no paradox. Paradox is the apparent contradiction of differing realities. But if we take things to the point of unity in a higher consciousness, no dualities, polarities, fragmentations exist. What you want to nourish yourself now with the North Node in Sag are large-scale ideas, comprehensive philosophies, and a worldview that is meaty and sustaining. An exotic mind food, Sag, is always welcome and adds some spice to life. We are infinitely more sophisticated than previous generations in using and understanding how a visual or verbal message can influence people. Yet how many of us wield that power with integrity and responsibility? Mercury in Aries and the North Node in Sag prompt us to think big and intuit and accept the magnificence of our being, something that is absolutely essential in this critical point in human history. Please join us next time when I will discuss yet another exciting cosmic development that has us exploring the totality of consciousness and questioning our dreams and illusions. Please subscribe to this YouTube channel and rate this video and help support the message of One World in Concert. Thanks for watching.